Previously on Raising Youth Voices.
Welcome to another episode of Raising Youth Voices via Zoom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Raising Youth Voices podcast. I'm Eddie Brown, the director of the Greater Hartford Youth Leadership Academy. I am very, very excited today because we have some special guests joining us. Of course, you always see our youth here from the Greater Hartford region and sharing their opinions, sharing their social justice issues, and so much more conversation. But today we have special guests, HCTC's newly established community health worker program. We have two representatives, Sherelle and Jenica here. The community health worker program is funded by the Connecticut Health Foundation in the city of Hartford, with partners, the Hispanic Health Council and Family Life Education. This is a regional initiative under Hartford communities that care to continue public health response to the pandemic, to provide outreach, education, and distribution of COVID-19 information to more than 3,000 Greater Hartford residents and merchants. Today, we're excited to dive into some conversation and get some information, as well as share opinions through experiences through this pandemic. Before we jump into it, I do want to ask Sherelle and Jenica to just share their experience on so far since they've been a part of this wonderful program. Share just briefly their experience on how it has been and what impacts have been made.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Jenica. I am a community health worker with Hartford Communities That Care. So far, under this newly established program, the things that I have seen are people love the fact that we are here. We are trying to bridge that gap between resources and our community, so that our community doesn't feel alone during this time and feeling like there's no help. So being able to provide PPE such as masks, hand sanitizer, gloves to families, that has been rewarding as we do distribute those within our community. We walk the streets, we talk to those merchants, those small business owners, give out the flyers, any information that we may have. So far, it's all been love that we have been shown because we're touching lives. And I would say the biggest thing is when the pandemic first came about, people didn't know where to get tested. And so we were able to provide that to our merchants and our community members, a list of testing sites that go on every day, as well as let them know there are mobile testing sites spread out through our city where they can also get tested for free.
Awesome, thank you. Sherelle?
I think since we've come on board, like we have the chance to really make a direct impact. Like Jenica said, we have passed out masks and hand sanitizers, and we have given out information and letting different people in the community know about available resources to them, like the different programs available for merchants and the different assistance programs available for residents. And it's good to have a direct impact, and we get to see how our community is changing and it's what its needs may be during this pandemic. And we've been well received, and it's a good feeling to know that we are helping them through a difficult time.
Absolutely. It's so amazing to know that you can, have support in the community, because a lot of times that's very hard to seek your support, resources, and everything like that. So kudos to you all. Amazing things you are doing. As we move forward, again, this is open to our youth, of course, and our two special guests that are joining us today, Jenica and Sherelle. Let's just dive into this thing. Really, my first question I want to touch on is, how are you all coping with the effects? This pandemic hit us out of nowhere. It was unexpected, but really pretty much between the youth, Jenica and Sherelle, how are you all really coping with the effects of the pandemic?
Well, for myself, besides having to wear a mask wherever I go, It doesn't feel too different. I'm personally not bothered by having to wear the mask all the time. It's just something that I got to do since it's federally mandated that I wear masks to make sure that everyone else stays safe. So it doesn't really bother me.
I feel very similar to Khalil. It's not too different besides I have to wear a mask and I can't go out as much as I usually would. But otherwise I guess it didn't hit me until I had COVID myself. But otherwise it's kind of been standard, nothing too different. I just didn't realize the severity until I actually had COVID myself.
For me, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Maya. I apologize. No, Maya, take the lead.
Okay, I was gonna say, I feel similar to Khalil and Jaren. It's something that I'm kind of like used to now. Here and there, I forget to bring my mask, but besides that, it's just something you gotta do.
So, now we're a year into the pandemic. So this is our new normal. So it sounds like you guys have adjusted to this new normal and you've coped with it. But when it first hit us in March of 2020 and we had to adjust to remote learning, what was that like for you guys when it first came out that we had to stay home?
I'll be quick, Ma. It was I don't know, it was like a shock because I thought it was like an extra 2 weeks just off of school. That's what I've been getting like memories on Snapchat of like coronation and all that, and I thought it was just gonna be done quick like that. And then it's been a year and the time has flew by. It really hasn't felt real, if that's the best way to put it, because it's just been like I've been at home since it was March-ish we first went into quarantine. From March till the beginning of this year I was kind of just at home. And so I mean it was really a different feeling then, because I don't know, just thinking about how it started versus how it is now, it really is weird. That's the only word I can use to describe it.
Yeah, it's like, I agree with Jaren. It's like surreal. Like, yeah, I see the seasons changing and everything going on, but it's like, I really been out of school for like this long. Like, wow, school about to be done in like 3 months. Everything's just going on and just like, wow. It feels different. Yeah, I don't know.
So when it first hit, right, and I was dealing with the education aspect, like in my mind, I had the mindset that, dude, I'm not gonna get COVID. Like, I'm cool. You know, having that mindset that I'm gonna come out of here, that like it's all right. I had that mindset throughout, and I still have that mindset. But the education standpoint, dude, it was so stressful. Like having to do all that, all the work, and the teachers weren't able to explain it because they weren't trained for this, and having to stay on top of your work and still have to cope with being at home and not having that human interaction was probably the hardest part. Like that was probably the hardest part of the whole thing. But coping with it, it was just me staying optimistic most of the time. Like it didn't really affect me as much as it probably should have, but yeah.
Well, for me, it was like, I got this. I'm a homebody anyway. I just go to work and then come back home. But then as time went on, I was like, I am not fit for this. I can't. But the way I coped with it was like trying to figure out who I was and like the things that I've been through. So like the different things, like meditating, like learning different ways to like keep my energy up. And the way that I didn't go to work, it was just like the money aspect. I was like, oh no, I need to make some money. I need to go to work. I need to get out. It's like, I can't see the same faces every day. I'm thankful for them, but like, geez, Gee.
I think for me, it was difficult at first because there's all these changes, and my son now has to do online, and it's a different way of learning, and nobody's prepared for this. And now I'm suddenly working from home, and it was like in the beginning, that part was working from home was like, yes, I don't have to go in. All right. So, so that part was great to me because I like being home. But then after a while, it's like you can't do the things that because we were in lockdown, you couldn't do the things that if you were stressed, you would normally go do. Like you would normally go, like go to a store and just window shop, and like you really couldn't do that. So it was trying to find new ways of doing things to cope with. Now suddenly you're in the house 24/7 with the same people, and it's like, okay, why are you blinking so loud? So it was just making that transition, that from back then it was a shock and it was difficult, but now it's just, okay, well, we got this. This is what's reality now. So, but it has been a year, and it's just been a really strange year.
Definitely. And just to segue from that, Sherelle, it's interesting you said that because it, goes into my next question is about changed relationships between friends, family, teachers, even, virtual schooling and all the stuff that you guys are doing, even with remote work. How, in what ways has those relationships changed? I know, not seeing people, not being able to do certain things, it just really locked us in and isolated us in from, doing the normal things that we do. So how has some of those relationships changed for you all?
Okay, so see, I was mad fast with that one, but I just noticed like a lot of people dropped like flies. People that you usually are like cool with before, because it was such a distraction. Like you were going out to the movies, you were going to school, you were meeting new people and all the other stuff. And the people that you called your friends, they like did not check up on you. They didn't do anything. A lot of the people that I hung out with like dropped like flies. But I did build my relationship with my family, because we're always going out and moving and stuff that we don't really get to sit down and talk. So yeah, I built a stronger relationship with my family. So,
yeah, to go off what Deja said, yeah, a lot of people, like the people you used to hang out with every day, talk to every day, once COVID hit, we just like stopped talking because it's different. You can't see them anymore. Like I'm a type of person where I have to see you often, like hang out often, do different type of things. So yeah, there's a lot of friendships lost, but there's also like some gained and some that I kept. And then my relationship with school changed because at first, like when first COVID hit, I was like, oh, I need to get back to school. I need to get out of the house. I need to do something. I can't be here with my mom no more. I need to get out. And then, but now it's like, okay, I don't need to go back to school. I got this. I thought I was gonna fail because I wasn't in school, and I thought it was like gonna be really hard for me. But once I got the hang of everything, all my grades are good. I'm on top of everything. I don't need to go back to school to feel like I'm gonna graduate on time. Like, I feel like I got it. And then with family, I mean, my relationship didn't really change. I guess I kind of get more annoyed, kind of, because like I see you every day. It's like, just leave me alone for a little bit. But besides that, I'm good. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I would say same thing as Deja, just building more closer relationships with my family, and yeah, dropped a lot of friends. Being the only one that would check up on people, and nobody checked up on me, and I would be like, oh yeah, now I'm starting to see what's going on. So dropped a lot of friendships and became friends with people who have the same mindset as me, which I'm thankful for. My relationship with school, like I said, at first it was challenging, but now moving forward, I learned how to cope with it. They let us back into the building, and so I'm an in-person learner, and that's what I learned about myself through this. I know I cannot do online school, because at one point in time I was thinking about it, but yeah, no, never again. I'm not even gonna have that thought in the air, because it's not for me, right? So yeah, moving forward, I feel like I learned how to cope with it better.
Let's see. This whole having to like stay home thing didn't really like bother me. My circle was kind of small anyway, so there wasn't like a bunch of people who like I used to check up on and text and hang out with at school. I was kind of like by myself with my own little group. School wise, it's okay, I guess. I don't really have anything to like report on it. I'm not used to the whole remote learning thing, having to learn from a computer. I'm definitely an in-person learner, like Damari. That's about it.
So in terms of relationships with my friends, it's kind of, it hasn't necessarily weakened. We tried our best to stay in contact. Whenever we could, we'd go to somebody's house or try to go on bike rides, just somewhere where we could be together but not cramped, if that makes sense. With school, the beginning of quarantine last year and the beginning of school this year when we were online, it was weird. It was like, I think I gained an appreciation for teachers more, seeing how flexible they can be. And so I think I've learned to like I'm not going to say I was worse before, but I've learned like patience when it comes to teachers grading and stuff, because I understand like the weight they're under and the stress they're under. So in my family, it's kind of been the same. We're pretty and tightly packed. So I guess like Maya said, it's easier to get annoyed now that everybody's constantly together. It's kind of need a breather sometimes, but that's pretty much it.
So I have a question for those who are in school and learning. Now that you're back in school, how has that changed before the pandemic? And then now that you're in school, have you noticed your relationships increase or decrease? Because in the beginning of the pandemic, most of you had stated that, no one was checking up on you. Now that you're in school and you may still be around some of those same people, has it changed? Have you reconnected? Has things gone your separate ways? Like, how do you maneuver through that? And how has, I just want to hear your thoughts on the in-school not post, but, now that you're able to go back to school.
Can you repeat the question, please? One more time.
Should I
I'm
answer?
sorry. Oh, go ahead, Jarian. Yeah, answer it if you remember what it was.
I was just gonna say I don't really see them during the day, honestly, because the school feels emptier. But it's like it does feel emptier, but I don't really see them. There's maybe one or two friends I see in passing, but I don't think it's made much of a change because I don't really have the same classes as them. So it's kind of, in passing, it'll be a hi or bye or quick what's up. But that's if we have time in passing. So
when I was in person, I could relate to what Jaren said. You didn't really see the people that you're close to because it's like depending on your last name, your group was separate. Grouped with different people. So like if they were a W and I'm a B, I'm not gonna see them at all. Or if we don't have the same lunch wave, it's like, well, we're here, but we're not here, and the school's like mostly empty. So it's like it's the same thing as being at home.
Anybody else? All right. Going back to what you were saying, Jaren, earlier about teacher appreciation, that was the first time I actually heard a youth say that. You hear a lot of times parents or other adults say, their appreciation for teachers. That's very important. So just really thinking about that, what are some areas of your life that actually changed during this time? What were some things that you are now doing differently? Areas of your life that were really affected by this, and now in a positive way? And again, Sherelle and Jenica, feel free to share as well too.
I think for me, it has made me a better advocate for myself and for my youngest son, who's 16. So I think it made me a better advocate for him because he's more of an in-person learner too. So it was the transition between distance learning and in person was kind of difficult. It was a challenge for him. So it was learning to advocate and then by that teach him how to advocate for himself with if he needs help with his teachers and if he doesn't quite understand. Whereas if they're in person, the teacher can see that you're struggling because you're right there, but it's not necessarily the case when everyone is online. So I think learning to be a better advocate for him and teaching him that has been a positive change.
Positive impacts. Like Jimmy said, my appreciation for my teachers, cause like I appreciated them then, but like now, like with my teachers, the ones that I have, they're really attentive, and I know if I like text or email a few of them, they'll respond like the same day or maybe like a few hours later. So I appreciate them because they don't have to do that. They can wait or they can just not respond at all, like some of my friends' teachers do. So I appreciate that. And the positive, I'm working more, so I appreciate that too because I get out the house. Yeah, that's it, I think.
Yeah, appreciating my teachers more, definitely one thing. They have been very lenient with me, I would say, basically helping me out whenever I need it, or just being there for me. They're my teachers especially are understanding that this is a hard time for everybody, and so them being there and showing their support really taught me how to appreciate them way more than I did before. And a positive aspect, I think I would say patience. It taught me a lot of patience, especially for like the younger generation, because I used to get annoyed with them. But it taught me how to really look at their position and look at the way that they're still growing, because they're going through this time. Imagine, right? So we're going through this time and we're older. Imagine them and they're younger, right? So it's like, it's more understanding and more, being more empathetic to where they are right now.
Definitely, that's important. Let's jump out of school for a minute. Let's jump out of school. Let's jump out of work. Let's think about personal goals. Let's think about isolation, being in the house, being locked down. How has that been effective as far as the positives? What have you gained out of that? Something that you wasn't doing pre-COVID that it actually slowed you down and saying, you know what, I'm looking at myself more. Maybe some self-care tactics or things that helped you grow personally.
Okay, so COVID really.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, Deja, we've been cutting you off. You can go.
Oh, okay. But for me, meditating and getting into coloring now. I know that probably sounds really childish, but I started coloring. I ordered a lot of stuff from Amazon, and that is a con, because when you're home and you're like, okay, what's new? Yeah, I've been buying a lot of stuff from Amazon, but yeah, so I was coloring more and like listening to music, just sitting with myself was probably the hardest thing I have ever done. So like learning myself, for like, you know how people are like, I'm in person learning, like I like to connect with people. Like imagine not being able to connect with yourself, but you're trying to connect with other people. So like learning to do that was probably hard, but it was also a positive because in the long run, I know what I want from what I don't want anymore. So yeah, that's what it was. Go ahead, Kuzma.
Well, for myself, I got to really sit down and just work on some different projects and hobbies that I have going in the background. I spent a lot of COVID restarting music. I was in a rut. There's a point in time when I just didn't have any ideas and nothing was flowing. So I sat down and just studied music for the entirety of COVID and just really got back to the fundamentals and got back to the basics so that I could understand what I was doing again.
Mine is similar to Khalil's. I play guitar, so a big thing for me throughout COVID has a big thing for me over the duration of COVID has been trying to improve. That's what I was trying to say. Trying to improve on what I can do. I'm also a singer, so my big thing has just been trying to better myself in the fields that I'm good at.
With me as well, I've relate to Jaren and Khalil with the music making aspect, because I make music as well. So just expanding on my talents, and also something that really helped me during that time, right? I learned that I like to ride bikes. Like, that was my meditation. Like, I like to go outside and ride bikes for hours. Like, I would be gone. Like, I live in Windsor, and I would ride my bike to Manchester or like East Hartford and then ride all the way back. And so that was a great way to stay fit. But yeah, I feel like that really helped me out.
For me, I think it was, okay, so I like to drive, so just drive anywhere. Like, I'll drive to Bristol just because why not, or just drive to run my mom's errands just to get in the car and go. And I got into doing my own hair more because I have more time to do stuff, so I was just like, all right, well, learn how to do new things. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
So I agree with Deidre. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. But self-care, being able to sit with yourself, learning what you like and what you don't like, that is amazing that you were able to do that. I know people in my age group who don't know who they are, who don't know how to cope with things. And you being able to identify that and improve is amazing and awesome. I give you kudos to that. I would say one thing for me that has improved during the pandemic is taking that time to look out for people, right? As you guys said, your friends dropped like flies in the beginning of the pandemic because no one was checking up. So I know that those little things go a long way. So one thing for me, my friendships have improved a lot because of those quick little texts. Or I sent you a funny video because I thought of you. I sent you a snap, quarantine day number 1522. Doing those things has built my friendships, and that's what has improved myself. But then also changing jobs, having a job that I was working from home, I couldn't do it. I'm grateful I graduated college when I did, so I didn't have to do remote learning, and I was able to have an in-person graduation. I'm so appreciative of that because I can't imagine what it's like going through now. And so me just practicing gratitude has improved, appreciating what I have experienced and those opportunities, like me being able to go to work.
We lost you there on the last part, going to work. After
Oh man.
whatever you said after going to work.
So I said for me that I enjoy is that I can go to work and I have those social interactions. So when I was working from home, I didn't have that, but me practicing gratitude, I appreciate going to work now because of those social interactions that I do have, since I'm so extroverted.
For me, self-care became a really big thing. Like, I was used to sitting with myself. Like, that hasn't ever been an issue for me. I'm an introvert by nature, so being by myself wasn't ever really a problem. But I didn't do self-care too much. Like I would just push it to the side because I was going in that sense of, being a mom and, working, and so I didn't take time for myself, but now I tend to, light candles and meditate more. And I had writer's block for the longest time. So the pandemic actually helped me to, start writing again and like journaling. And so that has been very beneficial. But yeah, self-care is a very important aspect that I try to have for myself, and also try to, have everyone in my family, in my household, practice some form of self-care themselves. So that has been one of the best parts of the pandemic. Like the community health worker program is a new job for me. And I lost my job because of the pandemic, because I was working in real estate. So they weren't really making any deals, because nobody wanted to like lease or buy like commercial properties. So I got to work from home, which was great, but also I didn't have much work to do. So that was very anxiety inducing. So being able to do this and to reach out to people and to like interact with others has been beneficial for me.
Just listening to all of your responses, it really shows that, this thing bring out the best in us. A lot of times people will see it as a curse, but I always said it's a blessing and a curse. It's only a curse because, of course, it's a crisis. A lot of things are out of our control. People did pass away from it. But when you look at the blessings, you really see, again, I heard a lot of self-knowledge, knowing yourself, true to yourself, tapping into things that you're not used to doing, and, learning. Learning is a part of life. We're always going to be, students to this game of life. We'll always be students. So learning is so important. So again, it just really brings us to this way where we can just sit and realize what, other potential that we have outside of the normal before COVID came. So it's just amazing to see. Now, looking at back into the school, sort of, even at home, even I'm seeing it working in the school system. It's so different now with younger children. I know you all are teens, and Jenica and Sherelle, we're a little bit older than you all, but working with, looking at younger children on an elementary, maybe middle school level, how would you feel would help them actually cope during this time? Academically, a lot of them are failing. A lot of them are still, going through traumatic experiences, being home, looking at child injuries and fatalities. That's a whole nother conversation. So how will we be able to help as a community, help younger children really cope with this? And, what sources can be recommended to help them through this time that we're going through right now?
Okay, so I work with kids, and they're all younger, and we do a hybrid program where I work. So like kids who are remote, they do whatever they have to do, and I've seen it, like the struggling and stuff and trying to stay attentive is very difficult for them. But it's just like sometimes the teachers don't really understand. It's like, okay, that kid has like ADHD or something like that, or like, different things, like they're used to it. But I feel like it's harder for them to sit in front of a screen and like listen to their teachers closely and like stay focused, because there's also a lot of kids around them. And I feel like teachers need to be more attentive, especially when it comes to kids' attitudes and stuff. But I feel like a lot of kids should, like parents and teachers need to be more attentive with their kid. And it's a lot harder to really focus on the kid when you have like 15 different classes that you need to pay attention to at the same time. But a lot of the outside people like coming together, it would be a lot easier on the parent and the child and the teacher, because you would be more focused and you could see the value in how they are trying to learn and still trying to do different things. Yeah, that's all I had to say, was that we should be more attentive with the kid and not just, throwing them aside like they don't want to learn, because I know that they do. They just don't know how. This is all new to them. Like Damari said, it's hard for them because they're transitioning as kids and they're still growing. So that's what we have to remember. They're growing children. So yeah.
Piggybacking off what Deidre said, I agree with her. And I think kids, like especially younger kids, are understimulated. I think kids constantly need, attention. They constantly need to be in a state of stimulation, so they'll pay attention. And so I think because kids are at home, they can't pay attention because they're understimulated. If you were in person, it'd be hands-on, especially as in elementary school, it'd be more hands-on learning. They'll have things to grasp. There'd be blocks in front of them to help them do math. But because they're online, they aren't equipped with the resources that they would usually be equipped with to learn math, science, reading. And so I think they're just understimulated. So I think finding a way to give kids these fun ways to learn, these engaging ways to learn would really go miles.
And another thing with the stimulation piece, sorry for whoever was going, the stimulation piece, like I see that they're more having the computer teach them instead of like them doing it. So like they'll have lessons, yes, but then they have to go on iReady and Zern and Epic and stuff, and they have to read and do it themselves. And it's like, I've seen it take a toll, like this is difficult for me and I can't do this, and they would get frustrated. And it's like, I can't help you because I'm not the teacher and I don't know what the teacher says to you, but like it's harder for the computer to teach them because that's not a connection that they can make, and it's not a connection that will last a lifetime. It's more like a just a video playing and then you have to mimic what the video says. It's a lot of understimulation. Jaren, I agree with Jaren a lot on that one.
Yeah, I feel like Jaren hit the nail, especially with the attention aspect for the kids. I feel like one way that we can combat some of this disconnect is mentorship programs, like putting kids inside of certain mentorship programs or connecting them with the mentor so that mentor can give them the attention they need. Granted that they have the teacher for like those couple hours, but when they get home, or if the teacher assigns homework at that one point in time, like they just said, there's a disconnect. And so bringing it back around, those mentorship programs will give the kids the attention they need, as well as being able to help them with whatever they need with their schoolwork, so they feel like somebody's actually there for them. Kids actually need that motivation. I know that I was a kid that needed that motivation in order to work. So I feel like there's a lot of kids who feel like that right now. And so putting that in place, I feel like would gear them towards the path to success.
Yeah, I agree with the mentorship thing that Damari was talking about, like having like not even an adult, but like a teenager that you can talk to, somebody that's older than you, that you can relate to outside of like your immediate family that usually helps you. You could build a relationship personally and they can help you like with your educational stuff.
And I feel like not only mentoring programs, but like the things like hybrid programs that, or like different things that have teachers assistants or like people that can help the kid learn. Like for me, I feel like I have built a lot of relationships with the kids, and I've actually like sat down and like told them like, this is the way you can do it, and if you don't feel like that's okay, you can always write it down. Like giving them different examples instead of just looking at a screen and like, what is this? And most of them are like in first grade, so like they can't really read. So like that's even harder for them to do because they can't read and everything is being presented in front of them and they're like, how am I supposed to do it? Like, so yeah.
I also think one of the problems is that in the virtual classroom, you're seeing everybody all at once, whereas in school, you're in desk and you're not necessarily looking at everybody's face and getting easily distracted by what someone off on their screen in the corner might be doing, and then you're not paying attention. So I think that's also an issue. But yeah, I think we need to make sure that younger kids are engaged because sitting at a screen is difficult. I mean, especially for like 6+ hours. I mean, I had a 2-hour training and I was like, bruh, and it was difficult for me. So I couldn't imagine having to sit there all day trying to grasp this stuff that I don't know and be taught. And some people are more hands-on learners than they are like readers or just being told how to do something. Like some people need to actually do it in order to get it. So I think we need to incorporate ways to make it more hands-on and more mentally engaging and still address, the education aspect. So but it is difficult because they're may still be at home.
So I would say one way to help the youth, especially those who don't necessarily know how to read, like the kindergarteners, first, second graders, who are learning the basics. I would say one thing would be to educate the parents, right? A lot of parents are now teachers and they don't know what they're doing. So all of a sudden they realize and they appreciate their teachers because they're like, how the heck am I supposed to teach my 5-year-old ABCs? And I've never taught someone before, right? And then at the same time, it also shows the parents like, look at your kid. You can see all the stuff the teachers have gone through, such as the behavioral issues, such as the distractions. As an adult, I can't sit still. I have to move up, I have to stretch, I have to go here, I have to go there. So for a 5-year-old to sit here and be fully engaged, it's not gonna happen, and we have to accept that reality. And so coming up with another way, such as educating the parents on tips and tricks to keep their kids engaged or offer that help in some way, shape, or form, would definitely be one way that the younger kids can cope and then also learn. Because I can imagine if these kids just keep getting passed, by the time they're in 4th or 5th grade and they're struggling to read Cat in the Hat, there's a problem, right? And so trying to catch it now while it's still fresh is definitely important, so that they can build upon those skills as they keep moving on to the next grade level. And for me, it's starting with the parents.
Wow. Some really, really great, insightful things. Just to wrap all of this up, it's just been an amazing time. From the strategies, I think this was really the most, powerful part, really the strategies here, especially helping our younger children. And then you all being teenagers talking about peer-to-peer, you guys are just teenagers and some young adults, but just having that peer-to-peer relationship of them not always seeing that older person, that older adult, but seeing somebody just a little bit older than them that could almost be like a big brother or a big sister. And that's so important to have that positive influence. With mentoring, hybrid programs, peer-to-peer leadership, that's key. And engaging strategies, mentally engaging, educating parents, training. So it's a lot of things that I've heard and a lot of things that could really benefit from the community bringing these resources in. And I think it will really kind of, even so more help them post-COVID. And I think this will be very, very effective. But, during the process, I feel like it was in play, but a lot of us were so unexpected from this turn that we didn't really know what to do. But I think now, strategizing, how can we come out of this a little bit better? Coming out of this crisis, still educating parents so they can be prepared for something like this if it was to ever happen again. So again, thank you all. Jenica, Sherelle, thank you so much for your time. I don't know if any last words, comments you want to wrap up. Please share with the listeners and viewers on ways they can follow and stay connected to the initiative that the community health workers are doing here in Hartford.
So yes, thank you guys for having us. I love to hear the youth opinion. Especially during a time like this, I feel like this is definitely important to shed some light on what's really going on during this time versus what is just being reported. One way that you guys can stay in touch with us in terms of any resources or, anything that you may need during this pandemic is through email. And then also my work phone number, I'm a simple call, text away, email as well. Anything that you may want to know more of, you need information on testing sites, you need some resources, feel free to get our information. We're here to help.
Yeah, I agree with Jen. It was so insightful getting the perspective of you all and finding out how, because adults don't really talk to young people in that way, and getting their insights and their opinions. So we really are kind of flying blind in that sense of how to help with coping during this pandemic. So it was really great to get your insights. So I appreciate the invite. And yes, you can reach out to us via email and our work phone numbers, and we can give those to Eddie if you need them. And it was, again, great talking to you guys. And if you need more resources, if you want to discuss ways to help cope and ideas for self-care, we will be more than happy to help. And thank you again.
Excellent. Thank you all again so much. We can't thank you enough. Again, you listening, you watching out there, continue to stay connected to this Greater Hartford Youth Leadership Academy. These youth are doing amazing things here in the community. Raising Youth Voices, YouTube, Instagram, as well as everything else. You can check it out on www.hartfordctc.org. This has been another episode of Raising Youth Voices podcast. Until next time, you all take care.